In this video, we'll be reviewing the C7 generation Chevy Corvette. Are they a good buy for $25,000 to $30,000? What's going on? My name's Max. Behind me is my 2017 C7 Corvette. It's a base model 1LT that I picked up for just $25,300. Really good price. Here's proof. Obviously, it's hard to pick them up at this price point. A lot of them hover just north of 30. Obviously, higher trim, nicer examples are just up from there in the 40s. Z06s still in the 50-60 range, even more for collector models. But to get a base, bare bones, slightly rickety C7 for $25,000 is an incredible deal. And if you're watching the channel, watching this review, probably interested in knowing more now that they have aged out, become a decade old, and they're certainly affordable. But I want to point out some of the flaws and imperfections since I didn't hit on that before. This is a clean title car, but it has had a decent accident. It was noted as moderate on Carfax. It's certainly not perfect. There are some scratches on the front bumper, tons of rock chips, absolutely peppered. A little impact point and spider cracking there, a little bit here, and I think 2 key marks on the back, one right here and one right here. So this is not a totally flawless car. I just want to be transparent because social media lacks that, and I forgot to go over the cons entirely. Now that the rambles are out of the way, let's get on to the review. So here is my specific C7. It is a 2017 with 64,000 miles. I've modified it just a tad with some really good looking visual parts on the inside and outside. I haven't done any mechanical mods. It is a base model 1LT with some eBay, Temu, cheapo Z06 inspired parts, taillight covers and fake carbon interior bits. Anyway, walking around the car, I'm filming out here in public, and a kid just rolled up to me on his e-bike and complimented me saying, "Man, that's such a cool sports car." So it gets definitely a lot of looks. It's a very sleek, sharp looking vehicle, but you could definitely come to that on your own. I want to share some of the true, real reasons why this car is a bargain a decade later, how it's holding up, and why they're an incredible value proposition for anyone looking to buy one. So starting off under the hood, we have a giant V8 mated to an 8-speed transmission. Mine is automatic. They have options for both manual and auto. In the early cars, I believe it was 2014 only, potentially 14 and 15, it was a 6-speed trans, and then it switched to the 8-speed that gets awesome gas mileage, puts the power down, and still makes plenty of power and shifts quick. But cracking the car open, showing a little bit more of the cargo space, there is tons of room here in the back for anything that you would need to put in there. It's definitely a grocery getter. I've taken the front wheel off of my bike, thrown it back here, and as a single person's car, this thing is great. You can use it for pretty much any use case. Super reliable, just being an NA V8 engine made by GM. There are pros and cons of that, but overall, they definitely make good engines and really prioritize their sports car lineup, but that's not without flaws. We'll get into that later, some of the common issues. Anyway, I still want to go over some of the positives. We'll close this thing down for now and show you the inside. Keep in mind, this is a total base model 1LT, but we still have Apple CarPlay, dual zone climate that you actuate right here. Nice little layout in the front, really good speakers. I don't know if they're all with Bose or if mine is optioned with Bose, but the sound system absolutely rips. And overall, just a nice, smooth car. It has soft close on the trunk if I didn't just drop it and slam it there. And that is absolutely perfect for sunny summer days just like this, or if you live in a warm climate year-round. This is January for context. But enough about the weather, more about the car. You have all of these different modes actuated here with Tour, Eco, Sport, Weather, Track. It'll change displays. We're in Weather, Eco, Tour, Sport, finally Track. It'll change displays for you, give it a little bit of lag time, and we are off driving the C7. The car shifts smoothly. Very happy about it. If you keep your foot out of the gas on this, on the highway, you can get up to possibly 30 mpg while still getting a 0 to 60 that rockets you in 3.7 seconds. Now, obviously, those aren't C8 metrics, but this thing was not C8 pricing. For 25 grand, 25.3 is what I bought this for. This is an absolute bargain. And comparing this to what else you could buy on the used market and what else you could buy even on the new market at this price point, this is a huge winner. This is an amazing value proposition. We got a little traffic coming, but I'll show you one of my favorite parts here. It's a nice, nimble, little low-to-the-ground sports car with good acceleration. Let me pop the windows up so you can hear me. I'm gonna absolutely dive into this roundabout, and the car is simply planted and grips while I'm still trying to film and drive with one hand. So the car handles great. I'll spin it around here, maybe do a little bit of a launch. These are optioned to have launch control, and it'll rocket you back in your seat if you want it to, but no gripes about the performance or handling of this thing other than the transmission in the canyons being a little bit sluggish, especially compared to newer DCT rides. We'll double tap the traction button, spin around right here, do a quick check, line up on the road and hope that the tires are warm enough for blast off. It's not what I wanted to have happen, but I guess the tires were not warm enough to want to launch. Anyway, you can hear that little pah when you shift. It's an amazing sound. Let me throw it down to manual for all of you. I ring it out just a little bit here. Hopefully you can hear those burbles and gurgles. Definitely will not sound like a BMW, but still a really solid sound profile nonetheless. We'll throw the windows back up. It's a nice, calm, smooth ride. If we throw it back in drive and flick it to something like Eco, all while avoiding the box in the middle of the road for no reason. You'll see this thing just floating the highest gear available. Right now it's 5th gear at just 30 miles an hour and just sipping on the fuel, not guzzling it, not going crazy. But this car launches pretty well. It still drives like a front engine, rear wheel drive car, so you have to be mindful of not letting the rear tires loose. Turn traction back on. Driving around town, it's nice. It's getting a little bit warm in here, so we'll throw the AC on. It blows nice and cool. There aren't too many maintenance items outside of the normal that you have to worry about or watch for on these cars. However, there are some big issues that you have to just be mindful of. It's definitely advised to get one that's been better maintained. Based on these, they can have torque tube issues, transmission issues, and engine issues. Specifically the lifters with the cylinder deactivation. It's an unfortunate reality with this car, but GM decided to sip fuel, so it cuts off half of the engine when you're just cruising on the highway, and it can lead to some early wear of the lifters and I think the cam gears. So definitely something to be mindful of there. It's not perfect, but no car is without its faults and flaws. I would just advise getting a lower owner count, better maintained one if you want to safeguard yourself and be sure to maintain it, warm it up properly, etc. you won't have an issue. There are many of these cars at now a decade old that have well in excess of 100,000 miles on their stock drivetrains, and they just perform. One of the final notes that I want to make, since the drive is over, we're back home and the lighting is a little bit better, is just how prevalent and available some aftermarket parts and components are for these cars. I did all of this Z06 styling and the aesthetic bits for about 500 bucks. I think top of mind, the wing was 150, the skirts were about 100, the front lip was under 100, and the Z06 front grille was under 100 as well. Now these are purely aesthetic modifications, but there's a wide aftermarket if you want to do light modifications like an exhaust or an intake on this, all the way up to camming them, supercharging them, pro-charging them, etc. There are parts that are available, easy and moderately affordable, especially compared to other vehicles in this class. So all in all, this is an incredible car and an incredible bargain a decade later. Speaking from experience as someone who has had not one, not two, but three, and will have more in the future as well, it's been a great daily as long as I've had it and served its use case. And as long as your bar is set to a realistic standard with what this car is, what it's capable of, and how it will present, I definitely don't think that you'll be let down buying one of these for $25,000 to $30,000 in the mid-2020s and on. Hopefully you liked the review. If you did, be sure to drop a like. If you want to see more C7 content or other automotive content in general, be sure to subscribe to the channel Automotive Money. And if you're interested in learning how to drive your next vehicle, your dream car, for free or even profitably, check out automotivemoney.com. With that in mind, I will see you on the next one. Peace.